Good evening. This is CTV News. I'm Taylor Thomas. If you rent an apartment or house, check your credit report. Chances are if you've missed a payment or are late on rent, then it's affected your credit at one of the major reporting agencies. But what if you've always paid on time, yet your credit scoring remains the same? Some Prince George's Council members want to try a pilot program that will require landlords to report rental payments to at least one credit reporting agency. The idea is to help improve residents' credit scores.
What this bill would do would require landlords of units that are greater than 15, I believe, to report those positive payments to the credit bureaus to help our citizens build their credit. There's so much you can do with great credit, and there's very few things you can do with poor credit. So to the extent that we can uplift our residents economically, that's the goal of the People's Council.
Tenants would have the option of participating in the pilot program. The bill CB 6/2023 passed its second reading today. President Joe Biden will deliver his second State of the Union address this evening. In his speech, Biden is expected to outline new steps to go after illegal drugs, help veterans and cancer patients, and provide more access to mental health care. Democrats are expressing optimism about tonight's address.
President Biden, Democrats in the House and the Senate will continue to work hard to put people over politics, to deliver real results for everyday Americans. And at the same time, we recognize that there is more work that needs to be done. And it's my expectation that President Biden will thoroughly and thoughtfully lay that out for the American people.
I think he will do a good job in letting people know. But part of it is a process. You pass legislation, the next day all the things, we don't have 100 bridges built or 20 chip fab plants built. It happens. And over the next year or two, people are going to see these accomplishments.
Maryland Governor Wes Moore and Prince George's executive Angela Alsobrooks are slated to attend tonight's State of the Union address. Meantime, Ruth Cohen, a Holocaust survivor from Rockville, has been invited by the White House to join the First Lady in her box this evening. Biden's State of the Union address begins at 9 tonight. The Prince George's school system is the latest district to tackle the growing trend of teens using fentanyl. PGCPS will host a community meeting tonight at High Point High School in Beltsville to address the dangers of using illegal drugs. School officials also plan to distribute Narcan kits to attendees. The event, which is set for 6 p.m., is open to students, parents, and community members. All right, here are the latest COVID-19 numbers. The Maryland Department of Health has confirmed 801 new cases. The county's positivity rate has just eased to just over 11%. 19 Marylanders have died of COVID over the past 24 hours. 471 people are hospitalized. That's 18 more than yesterday. The city of Greenbelt is teaming up with a medical nonprofit to offer free health services to residents without health insurance. CCI Health Services will provide medical and dental behavioral care at no cost. The outreach applies only to uninsured residents of Greenbelt living in the zip code 20770. According to CCI, 35% of its patients living in that zip code last year were uninsured. The program, which is funded by the American Rescue Plan, will run until the money runs out. For more information, go to cciweb.org. A Hyattsville man charged with bilking the federal government out of over $1 million in COVID-19 unemployment insurance benefits admits to the scheme. 36-year-old Galston Njokim has admitted to falsely claiming COVID-19 unemployment money from February of 2020 to February of 2021. Investigators say he and two others stole the identities of over 183 people and raked in $1.3 million. You're watching CTV News. I'm Taylor Thomas. Coming up, a round of applause for the newest graduates of the Prince George's Police Academy. The story after the break. Stay with us.
Listen up, people. Going extinct is a bad thing. At least we had an asteroid. What's your excuse? You're headed for a climate disaster. And yet every year, governments spend hundreds of billions of public funds on fossil fuel subsidies. As you rebuild your economies and bounce back from this pandemic, this is humanity's big chance. Don't choose extinction. Save your species before it's too late. It's time for you humans to stop making excuses and start making changes.
Good evening and welcome back. The judge overseeing the trial of a former Prince George's Police County officer charged with the shooting death of a handcuffed man reprimanded both sides in court yesterday for not being prepared. Judge Michael Pearson noted that the charges against Officer Michael Owens were filed 4 years ago. He called the prosecution's delay mystifying, criticizing it for submitting discovery a day before the trial was set to begin. A status hearing is scheduled for next Thursday. Immigrants who get pulled over for a misdemeanor driving offense can sometimes find themselves in a deportation processing. That's because on record it may show a probation before judgment, or PBJ, a legal term often granted to lessen the charge, but few realize that a PBJ also comes with a guilty verdict, a verdict that is stricken once the sentence is completed. The problem for immigrants is that a guilty misdemeanor can lead to deportation hearings. Prince George's council member Wanika Fisher proposed a bill last year when she was a state legislator. The measure, which would reformulate the PBJ statute, was reintroduced again this year.
Yes, I actually had a neighbor who lives 2 streets from me. Husband was just driving. There was a problem with the registration. He ended up actually in deportation. He's back in El Salvador. Lives 2 streets from me in Lewisdale, and that was about 4 years ago, right before I became a state delegate then. And that's how the bill came up. And she's U.S. citizen. They share U.S. citizen children. And for someone to end up in deportation for just a regular traffic stop, a minor offense, and then not be here with your family is a huge consequence that's not meant to happen in our court system.
The bill HB 193 is scheduled for a hearing this afternoon in the House Judiciary Committee. It's Black History Month, and the Good Trouble think tank is celebrating the month with a virtual Black History Month event to honor the life of Dr. Carter G. Woodson, who created the month.
Everyone who attends our celebration will be inspired to not only celebrate our history, but to continue the conversation about our wonderful history every day. We also hope that folks will join the Good Trouble think tank, where we continue to not only honor the life of Congressman Lewis, but honor our legacy, and to give back to our community and to push forward and do great things.
The virtual celebration and fundraiser is set for Wednesday, February the 15th from 7 to 8:30 p.m. Some of the speakers include County Council Chair, Vice Chair that is, Walla Blagay, National Director of Black Women Historians, Dr. Shanette Garrett Scott, and others. For a link and for more information on the Black History Month event, call 240-838-6653. The marble bust of a former Chief Supreme Court Justice has been removed from the U.S. Capitol nearly 2 years after the House voted to remove the bust of Roger Taney. It was taken from the old Senate chamber. It was Taney who wrote the 1857 Dred Scott decision, declaring that Black people had no rights, which the white man was bound to respect. In its place will go the sculpture of another Marylander, the first Black Supreme Court Justice, Thurgood Marshall. A man is dead following a hit and run on the Baltimore-Washington Parkway last night. It happened on the southbound lanes near Powder Mill Road at about 10:15. Investigators are looking for a metallic blue Nissan Maxima with damage to the front driver's side, including a mirror. Anyone who may have information is asked to call Park Police at 202-379-4877. Congratulations goes out to the 148th class of the Prince George's County Police Training Academy. Today, 27 recruits graduated after successfully completing weeks of intense training. They are all now ready to serve and protect. 17 of the graduating class members will join PGPD. The remaining will join other local law enforcement agencies in the county. And coming up after the break, your Tuesday Sports Page report. Stay with us.
Hey, Simon Bucks here, and coming up, the Wizards suffered a blowout loss against the Cavaliers, and the Capitals re-signed some important players. Stay right there.
1 out of 5 young people struggle with disorders like depression, dyslexia, ADHD, OCD, eating disorders, and anxiety. Every year, over 1 million young people visit the ER because of suicidal ideation and suicide attempts. 5,000 die by suicide. When we ignore mental health, we lose our children. The Child Mind Institute is a reliable, relentless, and revolutionary voice for children. To learn more, visit childmind.org.
Good evening and welcome back. February 7th is known nationally as Black HIV and AIDS Awareness Day. To recognize this day, the County Health Department has released a podcast about living with HIV. Officials say the podcast, known as Positive Voices, will include 6 episodes. Hoping to encourage listeners, podcast guests share their experiences living with the disease. Now take a listen to episode 4, known as Living an HIV Positive Life.
People are not going out there to yell from the rooftops that I have HIV. And the reality is even though I think, you know, the queer community may be sex positive, they still might not be HIV aware positive. And so I think that that's the reason why we see that, because that, whether you're gay, straight, bi, you know, whatever you identify as a person of color, we tend to not share any of our struggles, whether that be like mental, physical.
The podcast was produced in partnership with the Montgomery County and DC Health Departments. Prince George's County says more affordable housing for seniors is coming online this year. The county's Department of Housing and Community Development has released its first digital affordable housing portfolio for 2023-2024. It lists more than 40 upcoming and completed senior communities and apartments. Of the properties, 3 are in Clinton, 1 is in Oxon Hill. To search for affordable housing, go to the web address that's right there on your screen.
Wizards matched up against the Cleveland Cavaliers last night, but they weren't able to pull out the win as they were beaten 114-91. This is the 3rd loss in a row following a 6-game winning streak. The Wizards defense was an issue as the Cavs shot over 50% from the floor. But despite the bad loss, head coach Wes Unseld Jr. believes the team can bounce back.
Well, you have an opportunity to bounce back. You know, hopefully we can get healthy, but you know, we don't want to dwell too much on, you know, this 3-game skid. We got to learn from it. You want to, of course, take something from it. Sometimes there's the hard lessons, but I think it's important to take something from it and learn. And hopefully that puts us in a better position. But we have a day to get right, practice, get healthy a little bit, and you know, reload for Wednesday.
The Wizards play against the Charlotte Hornets tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Now to the NHL, the Capitals have retained some key players as they have re-signed forwards Dylan Strome and Sonny Milano to multi-year extensions. Strome signed a 5-year $25 million deal, while Milano got a 3-year $5.7 million deal. In just 52 games with the Caps, Strome totaled 11 goals as well as 25 assists for 36 points. This ranked 3rd on the team in scoring. And for Milano, he's totaled 8 goals and 14 assists in 40 games played for the Caps. And lastly, it's an exciting time for Orioles fans as spring training is right around the corner. The pitchers as well as catchers must report to Sarasota, Florida by February 15th as the first workout begins on the 16th. The rest of the team will report to camp on the 20th, with the first full squad workouts being held on the 21st. And that is your Tuesday sports page. Simon Buggs, CTV Sports.
All right, thanks, Simon. Now to our weather forecast. Tonight, mostly cloudy with isolated showers, lows near 44. Wednesday's forecast, mostly sunny, highs around 61 degrees. Thursday, a chance of showers, highs in the low 60s. Friday, possible showers, highs again in the low 60s. That's our CTV News for now. Thanks for joining us. I'm Taylor Thomas. Good night.